how Dan did over 4 deals and $36,000 in his first year in real estate wholesaling, real estate investing at just 23 years old. What is up, Dan? We are here on the Backstretchers podcast to talk with Dan, his story, and most importantly, figure out how he got those 4 deals and how you can do the same thing. Dan, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, Zach. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. So I know we talked a little bit, but I don't know too much about your story. I know you are young, you're getting deals, you're doing well, and you're showing people your journey. So I'm really excited to really talk about it and see what you're getting done and how you're doing it. So without further ado, let us know, what is your story getting into wholesaling real estate?
Yeah, man. So, long story short, was working at my job for the last about 5 years full time. And a couple years ago, got into real estate investing and used my income. I bought some rental properties. Then I got into flipping, specifically burring houses, buying them and flipping them to rent. And then about 6 months ago, was still working my job, decided to go ahead and quit that and go full time into real estate because I was making more money burring houses than from my job. And, had my rental income built up. So I quit that and then, quickly found out, needed a way to, generate cash, with real estate. And so I hadn't really done a lot of wholesaling up to that point. I'd mostly just been buying great deals and flipping them, but got into wholesaling. I'd been watching your guys actually, and pretty much the only course I've done is just your free course. And besides watching a lot of content online. And from there, I've been full time in this wholesaling for the last about 6 months, since about September of 2022. And I've gotten 4 deals now with a couple more in the pipeline that should be closing soon. And, really ramping up that and closing. So that's kind of the long story short. I'm happy to dig into it more.
Dude, I want to dig into it, man, because you're young. You're just kind of getting started in the wholesaling game, right? And I think as a real estate investor you are, and I think you said you got 16 doors. It's like, it's cool, but like wholesaling is going to produce that generate that cash and then pour it into there. And on top of that, in Kansas City, it's like, if you just get good at doing that and you just buy them for your own rentals, it's going to be amazing. And dude, that's how you really get insane wealth. And it's exciting to talk to you, a fellow young person, going after it and going at it. So yeah, I saw you posting some amazing checks. I'm like, dang, I got to look into this guy. And it's really cool because I see you're documenting your journey on YouTube. And I never did that starting out, which I probably wish I did. And it's pretty cool to see your journey kind of, from a beginner, getting deals, keep grinding, going after it. And I love it. But let's bring it back to your first wholesaling deal. Let's talk about that one. What's the whole process on that?
Sure. So there's kind of 2 deals that really introduced me to the concept. So the first one was last summer, and it wasn't really like a true wholesale, but it kind of showed me the power of what wholesaling is. So we bought this house cash for $35,000. Literally, a guy posted it on Facebook, and we were like the first ones. He put his phone number on there. It's like the first one to give me 35 grand in the next 30 minutes, we'll get this house. And so we were like driving down the highway, me and my partner, and we just like just drive over to his house and we buy the house for $35,000. So we were intending to flip this house. It was in a good area. And then we looked at it. We went ahead and got it under contract, and then ended up closing I think we got it in like a week. We closed it cash, and then took a look at it, and we're like, hey, this looks like a lot of work. Maybe we should just try to sell it. I think we got it deep enough that we can just sell it as is to another cash buyer. So literally put it on, I think we just I don't even know if we listed. I think I just put it on Facebook and for $50,000, and literally sold it, quit claim deed for $50,000 the next week. So within 7 days, we had made $15,000. And I was like, wow, this is, this is awesome. This is it was kind of like a whole tale, I guess, but we didn't get to the retail part. So, so that kind of showed me the power of it. That was my first deal. It kind of introduced me to the quick, cash and that you can get. But my first true wholesale deal was at a JV, which I just did, I think in December. And Actually, it was with it was with a wholesaler that we had bought a house from and flipped it. And he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I got this deal. You interested?" And I was like, "No, it's not really in a town that I buy in, but hey, I'll help you find the buyer for it." So, that's a great way that I found to get into some deals and without, all the marketing and having to go find sellers and stuff, is to help people find buyers. And you'd be surprised that, like, in certain towns and things, or people are just lazy or whatever, like they just can't, they have a hard time finding a buyer that's interested and that's going to close. So, he gave me this deal. I was like, "Hey, you want to split it 50-50 if I find a buyer?" He's like, "Yeah, go ahead." I didn't try to like lock him into any kind of like exclusivity contract. I was just like, "Hey, if I can provide some value for you, is it cool if we split this deal?" And he's like, "Absolutely, totally." So I didn't have any buyers in this town, but I just went on MLS, went on Batch Leads, and literally just like, started calling every single like like investment or
Yeah.
landlord, like circling the house until, I finally found an interested buyer and got that to close. It was a small deal, only $5,000 that we split, but, hey, $2,500 is $2,500 for, a few hours of work to find that buyer. So that was really the first one, the first true, wholesale assignment that I did was that one.
Okay.
So
And I mean, you got some more deals from there. And were you fixing and flipping before that?
yeah, yeah. So before I got into wholesaling, like last year, we flipped about 12 properties.
Wow.
So yeah,
What was your average profit on that after everything?
sure. So we're burring a lot of them, so it's a lot of it's
Okay.
just in equity.
Yeah.
But average, I mean, it's um, probably average right about the 50,000 mark.
Yeah. For the burrs.
For the burrs, yeah, we have a
Yeah.
couple right now. We literally made $100,000. We're like all into this house for like 150, and it'll be easily worth 250. We've already got it rented out, and so that's $100,000 profit on a burr deal right there.
That's pretty good. I mean, you're in Kansas City, so your interest rates should be still lower than the cap rate just in that market. So it does work. Some markets get weird, man.
Mhm.
Like some,
Oh
like
yeah,
yeah, it's a weird kind of range, but we're still seeing work here. And so I see you doing that Airbnb. You're doing all these crazy things, but honestly, what's getting you really interested into wholesaling and getting you into that? Because you could just be burring more.
sure, sure. So definitely could. I think the why I'm really interested into wholesaling and not just focused on burring is you got to have cash. So
Yeah.
cash is king. Like, we're going broke buying houses. All my money I'm I'm taking and throwing into investment property and burring houses to build up my long-term wealth. But even if you can do the perfect burr deal and get 100% financing and and get all the money you put in it back out, like there's all sorts of things that just take your cash that you have, right, like expenses and the bank not giving you as much as you thought, especially right now, guys, like getting refinanced is really tight because the banks, like, I mean, you see these bank crashes and stuff. Like, I don't think the market's dangerous. I mean, the market's pretty hot right now, to be honest, I think, as we go into summer, but like the banks are definitely not all loosey goose. So they're only refinancing maybe 60 up to 70% LTV on a lot of stuff, even in our area, which is very conservative.
Yeah,
uh,
it's not bad for Kansas City. I mean, a lot of guys did what you did, but it was a lot in 2008, but banks were a lot looser. People got
yeah.
killed there.
And but that's why I'm into wholesaling, is because you've got to make money. I mean, you have to have cash in the business, and we can take that cash and buy more properties, and you just need money to live, right? You got to have some cash to buy your groceries and things like that. And you can get partners and stuff, and you can definitely be in deals with no money out of your pocket, but it's definitely good to have your own. You got to be making your own cash, because there's all sorts of deals where it just really doesn't make sense, any other way than to put your own money into it. And it's such a great vehicle to make money. I mean, for example, like this deal where I posted that $26,000 check, like, we could, it was a great house, very minimal repairs needed, but probably a 300 ARV. We dispoed it for 200. We got it for originally 170. So we had a 30K split in there, and I literally got this thing from the seller to getting it locked up with the buyer within the span of 3 days. Um, and we would have liked to buy that house, but like, at that moment we had 5 other projects going on, and like all of those are taking our working capital. I mean, for every job we try to have like $20,000 to $30,000 in working capital and reserves for each job. And so if we want to expand, we have to have more cash. And so instead of taking that project on, let's make the 26,000 now. That guaranteed money, instead of risking it trying to flip this property and sell it on the market, which is just it's a gamble. And there's all sorts of fees and expenses with that. And so take that profit, and then we can roll it into another deal and have that money that we can work on ourselves. So that's kind of the mindset, really trying to expand the wholesaling, getting consistent. I'm taking all that money that I just made and investing it into like a cold caller and a dialer and stuff, like in systems because right now, like I'm literally just like spreadsheet, Google Voice, knock doors. Like it's, super basic, like run it lean until I get this thing figured out, and then take the money that I make from proving that I can do it, and then, buying more team members and systems and stuff like that, so that we can scale without, breaking the thing. Right.
That's it, man. Simplicity scales, complexity fails.
That's right.
And dude, if you just get 5% better every other month, it compounds like crazy, right? I mean, I'm at where I'm at because I got, probably 1% better every other day for 6 years straight. And that's where I'm at now. And you'll definitely be at that point too. But the one thing I figured out was coming from, I was never like, I was wholesaling first and then getting in all the stuff you were doing after, but you kind of get really spoiled, right? So it's like, you either pay when you get a good real estate deal for a rental, Airbnb, Burr, any of that stuff. You pay in the beginning because you're paying it basically on market. So you're paying a higher price. But in wholesaling, it's kind of cool. You pay the suck of just getting a good deal, but then you get the good deal after. You pay with your time. Mm-hmm. And you get really spoiled at the end of it, but you start learning what's a good real estate deal and what's not. And it's definitely something I think if you're just getting rentals right now or you're flipping houses, always get into wholesaling, because worst case scenario, you just get better deals. And that's really powerful. And that's something pretty cool, skill you can always have. So what's your systems right now? You've got some JV deals. You're doing some deals now, and you got some deals in the pipeline. Where are your primary marketing channel right now?
Yeah, so primary would be, sending batch texts as well as just cold calling targeted lists. Is where I've been focusing the last 6 months. And those are, like driving for dollars leads, pre-foreclosures. And a lot of it were, foreclosure leads. Like that 26,000 was from a foreclosure list. So literally, pulled it. There was only 3 names on the list at the time. And, I just called through, and like one of them, she answered. I just said, hey, I'm interested. I didn't even talk about the foreclosure. I was just like, hey, I'm interested in buying the house. Like, have you ever considered selling? Right. And she's like, yeah, I want to sell. And so I'm like, okay, quickly looked it up on MLS and, established that it was a very promising property. And so I was like, when can I come see it? I'll go like today and come see it. Right. And I think and she's like, yeah, come today, come tonight, like, come check it out. I'm ready to go. And I could tell that she was motivated. Like you said, she was a motivated seller, right? Because she didn't say she was in foreclosure, but I knew she was in foreclosure from the list, right? And so, went down to the house and, looked at it. I figured we could conservatively, and, being a flipper myself, like, I know what I will pay, and I'm pretty conservative with my buys. Like there's, greater fools than me that'll pay more for stuff. And so like underwriting to what I would pay for this house, I'm like, we can dispo this thing at 200, all day long. Right. And it's like, we need to get it. I'm like, she had her mortgage. It was at like looked like it was about 170, 160, something like that, cause it, when they get into foreclosure, of course it, jacks up the mortgage. So it's more expensive. Right. But like, I'm like, we probably need to get this house for 180, 190, we can make some money on it. So go down there, check it out. Looks really clean, just needs, honestly, like it's livable as it sits, in pretty good shape. Like it was flipped in like 2019. So it was in pretty good shape. just a little bit of wear and tear. But go in there, talk to the seller. Just you got to build that relationship. You got to build that rapport with them. And I was like, hey, I'm looking to buy the house, and talk to her about it for a little bit, and went through and kind of looked at it. I had my partner Austin with me at the time. He helps with the flips and the renovations and stuff like that. And just I was like, hey, look through it. Kind of went over to talk to Austin, privately, and I was like, came back to her and I'm like, hey, we're interested. I'd like to buy it. What are you looking to get? Right. And so pause there for a second, let her talk, and she's like, I want 170 for the house. I just need enough to walk away. Right. That's my mortgage. I was like, okay. Then I went back, talk about it for a second again. You got to like add a little friction. You don't just want to, the sales game, but the viewer, you always want to add a little friction into the interaction. So, because people don't want to think they got took,
Yeah.
And if she wants 170, that's fine. Like, and obviously if that's her mortgage, like I'm not going to offer any lower because it looked like it was about that. And, there's no point, trying to argue that. Right. So I'm like, okay, let's do it 170. So, and I had my contract in the bag. I was ready to sign. So I like, let's do it. You want to go ahead and get this deal done. And she's like, yeah. So she actually worked for a real estate company. Ironically enough, she worked for a commercial real estate company. I don't know what her position was, but she's like, no, I don't want to sign yet. Can you send me the contract? I want to have one of the real estate attorneys in my office look at it. And I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and draft it up tonight. So I'm like, so we kind of do a handshake deal, sounds good. But, as if it's that, the paper's not signed, like it doesn't mean anything. Right.
Nope.
So run back to the house and, draft it up. I just used thankfully my local title company that we use provides a really nice assignable FSBO contract. So wrote that up and sent it to her. And then I think the next morning she signed it. So, for 170. And then I was like, okay, awesome. We're going to do this deal. So I went to my, a good cash buyer that I know that would buy it and literally, call him. Hey, I got this deal. It's 200 grand. You want to come look at it? Let's do it. Right. It's a really good house. So he comes, I think we showed it to him like that day or the next day. Like it was super fast. I mean, and I think that's the key thing is like every really good deal I've gotten is because we've been like really on them and like really quick, like speed the lead.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know about your market, but in my market, there's like, probably a dozen guys that are just like, bat, like as soon as the stuff hits the foreclosure or whatever, they're getting like a dozen phone calls. I honestly don't know how I got this one before other people because like every other one I've called, man, they say like, oh, I've gotten called a zillion times. Like, and so we got this one, we beat everyone else out and got it done for whatever reason.
Dude, sometimes about timing.
It really is, it really is. Cause like, I know a lot of the other heavies in the market and like I run my own meetup, my real estate meetup. And like, I know them all personally, a lot of the other guys that are, and that's fine. We're all friends and there's enough deals for everybody. Right. But anyway, so this deal, so I literally, get my guy over there, my buyer, just pose him as my contractor partner and, running through the house and, he doesn't really need a lot. He can go over there and look at it once and, he's good to go. Right. Like he doesn't need anything else. And that's a good thing with a good cash buyer is you're not going to have to, have 10,000 people over there and contractors and this and that. Right. So gets, he's like, I like it. We get in the car. I'll take it. Handshake deal. I send him the assignment. Boom. Assigned. And then literally we could have closed like as soon as possible because like I was ready to go, but it took like probably 2 or 3 weeks just to get the updated payoff for the loan.
Wow.
And I don't know why, it took so long, but it ended up netting out, she needed like 173 and change to close. And so I just upped my offer and, we got it done. Close the deal. Dude,
that was amazing. How did you find the buyer on this one?
Yeah. So the buyer was from networking. I mean, we just network a lot with, like, I go to all the meetups, I have my own meetup and I'm just constantly, looking for people. And if it's not, so you kind of have a lot of people on deck that you can talk to. So that's where this gentleman came from. was just from my network. I just knew he's hungry. He's actually an agent but he's like, he represents a buyer pool, and he just gets paid out of them. Like they're kind of like a limited partnership, but they're just like a bunch of guys that are just buying up a ton of houses and flipping them. They're local Kansas City guys, but like he just kind of finds deals from. So this agent does like 40, 50 deals a month, literally just like calling wholesalers, and like, and they pay pretty well. It's not like they're trying to break people. So that's where this gentleman came from. But
dude, it's all about who you know.
It really is, man. Like literally these deal, like that first JV deal I did, like I literally had, kid you not, probably 12, 15 buyers through this house. Before the last one, like he went through, and it literally took him like, I probably had to get him through there like 3 times for him to make a decision. Like that's the thing I think on some of these. I mean, some of these good houses in good areas, like they'll sell like super quick. But some of the like the sketchier houses, and maybe like the worst areas or the rural areas, like they can be hard to sell.
Oh yeah.
And so like that's one thing I've learned with these buyers. Like it's not necessarily easy to get a buyer to like it and close. They can take a lot of work, if the thing isn't that desirable. So, but that one was from cold calling. Like I literally just cold dialed investors that owned property nearby until I found somebody. And like no investor is ever going to be like upset to talk to you about you finding them a deal. Like I've never called an investor and be like, hey, I got this deal. Are you interested? And like gotten chewed out,
Dude, it works, man. You're a testament just going after it and not stopping and just constantly putting yourself out there. I don't think if you didn't put yourself out there, you'd probably get that deal or get as good as of a deal. Even, find the connections, and just you putting yourself out there, seeing a young guy. That's why I look at you. You're young, you're putting yourself out there, and you're just getting 10% better every single month. That's all you're doing. You're not doubling your skill set in a day. You're just constantly getting better every single day, and it just compounds. And I know you're going to be a beast, and you're turning into one right now. And that's why I wanted to hop you on and kind of get your mindset, because you have the mindset of a person that's making 100K a month, and you're getting to that point. There's guys that are making more than you, but they have the bad mindset. They're going to stay at that point. The people with that mindset, they will grow into that mold, and that's what's so exciting about hearing your story, hearing you. So I know you kind of been documenting your journey on YouTube, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I was watching some videos. I couldn't watch all of them,
sure.
But I saw that $26,000 check. I'm like, wow, he's not like the average wholesaler on YouTube that gets one deal and is like fakes it or whatever. Like he's actually legitimately showing a story. And so when I see the mindset, you actually showing real deals, I was like, all right, this is something I should probably look into. So tell me about that story too, man.
With the 20
YouTube.
or the YouTube. Yeah. So the YouTube started, when I was 18 years old, literally, with this kind of, end in mind of wanting to share and educate and help other investors, because, when I was 17, 18, like I was watching other guys in real estate and business, and like, their stories, these other young guys, same age as us, like doing awesome things, making hundreds of thousands, $1 million a month. Like, I'm like, man, like I want to be like these guys. And like, and I want to share, cause I know that I was like, even at that point, like, you're just starting, you have nothing, but I knew that like I was going to get there one way or the other. And so like, I wanted to show all the way through the journey. So somebody, another 18-year-old kid can go and look and be like, he comes to me and he's like, hey, I need help or whatever. I'm like, dude, I just started from nothing too. But it takes some time. And so I wanted to document that journey and help others. And obviously, selfishly, build my influence and get more deals, get more connections through that. But all the while, helping others, sharing my real deals, being transparent with everything. And just really, because I think there's a lot of fluff, like, especially with YouTube. I mean, you're one of the few guys that I found that's really just like, sharing genuine information. But like a lot of guys, they post like, the gross, I just made, $250,000 on this house or whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe it sold for 250 grand, but like these guys, they're not making anywhere close to that. Right. And so, with that, I wanted to provide a lot of content that was just genuinely going through like these flips and these wholesale deals and like how I got them and what I did, because I can't, I can tell somebody, the only real truth that I can tell is just like, what have I done? How have I been successful? And that's really all I can share and be an authority on, because if I haven't done it, it's impossible to really properly teach that information.
Yeah.
So
And you're teaching people that, right? And dude, even by just doing that and being the person in like Kansas City, I'll tell you, I had 1,000 subscribers and I made over 100K in a year just off JV deals. It's insane. And then it just went crazy. And then it's a never ending cycle. So it's really cool seeing your journey on it. And it's Dan Cohan, right? So your tag underneath you on
yep,
YouTube.
look
So
that up on YouTube.
check him out there. And you have a meetup in Kansas City, right?
Yep. So I host my own meetup. That same guys trying to, build local connections. Like I've done a couple JV deals from guys that I've met at my own meetup, right? And become that authority figure. And so I do a meetup every second Tuesday of the month, or second Wednesday of the month rather. This one in April is going to be on the first Tuesday on the 5th. But other than that, doing a free meetup. I bring in free food, Chick-fil-A for everybody. Have a guest speaker on some kind of topic that's going to help other investors. And, it's a great place to come and meet and get free value and free connections, because that's where it's where I got my start and got inspired. And I think others can too.
Are you going to sell some of the $10,000 program there?
No, there's no seminars. There's no
kidding,
selling
man.
$10,000 guru courses. It's free networking and free value and free food.
That's the worst part of like you go to those Rios and it's like, well, I can't show you to find a cash buyer. You're going to have to do the platinum gold and it's like a CD. It's like, but how can people, if they want to go there and get some free Chick-fil-A, how would they go there?
Yeah, so just follow me on Facebook, or that'd probably be the best way. Just Daniel Kohanowitz is the best way. So just type that in on Facebook and you can find me, and then just look at my events. So awesome. That's where those are being posted they're on Facebook events and Eventbrite. But honestly, if you just follow my YouTube and my Facebook, I'm posting every single day on the stories and reels and sharing every deal pretty much that we do. So, and until there's just too many deals that I can't share them all.
That's beautiful, man. And if someone had a JV deal, they would just hit you up on Facebook, that name?
Yep. Just send me a Facebook message. That'd be the best way to get a hold of me fast. I answer all my Facebook messages usually within a day.
Awesome, man. So, Daniel, I really appreciate you hopping on here, sharing a little bit about your story. I want to hop you on next year. And the point of that is like, you see someone's growth, and I've picked people out and be like, all right, let's do him next year. And it's insane. So, Daniel, thank you so much for hopping on. Do you have any parting thoughts for the audience before we hop off here?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest parting thought is, and kind of what I got shared is just don't give up. I mean, when I committed to this business full time, I'm like, I am going hard for at minimum, 24 months. And because I think I see so many guys, even local guys in my community, that they try to wholesale for like 2 months, 3 months, and they can't figure it out and they just quit, and they bounce to the next shiny object. So, just stick with it and just pick one thing and get really good at it. Like, cold calling or door knocking, whatever it is, pick one and just really, really focus on that until you're doing deals consistently before you just, bounce around to the next, form of marketing. Because that's, I think the shiny objects is the enemy. And if you just stay with something for a long time and get consistent, it's just inevitable that you're going to get good and you're going to make money doing it.
Beautiful, man. Daniel, thank you so much for hopping on. Really appreciate it. Hit him up. Go talk to him, do some deals. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Zach.